Hi. So today I'm going to try different chords than I've been playing. So today I'm going to play I'm a Little Crazy by Morgan Wallen. It's only 4 chords, but it's 4 different chords. So I'm excited to try that and see how it goes. I think it is very pertinent to today, and there have been some hard days, but I found this necklace and it's a dragon because my Chinese horoscope is Year of the Dragon, so this is like dragon heart to me. And because I'm doing my keyboard, I don't know, it's like a rock star vibe. Is this like my rock star vibe? Not that I can sing, but I guess most rock stars can't either. At least if you listen to like 80s classic rock. And today there's autotune, and back then there wasn't really. So I've just been feeling a little bit down, but playing the music has helped me out a lot. And I've really been enjoying this song. And Morgan Wallen was just on Theo Vaughn's podcast. I've only gotten into country in the last couple years. Like, now country has more of a rock pop vibe than it used to. I really like this song, so I'm gonna try playing it and we will just see how it goes. Oh, and I'm gonna play it in my headphones, so I'm excited to give this song a try. I did do a dry run of it a couple times. It seems to be simple enough. It's a little bit faster than the ones that I've been playing. I think when I play the music, it's gonna be a little bit harder than just running through it. So, oh, that starts quick. Oh, see, this is different. The sheet that I'm reading has an intro, and the song that I'm listening to doesn't. Okay, let's try this again. I think the song is great because to me, it's a great summary of how my perspective has changed toward my own mental health in the last few years. I'm a little crazy, but the world is insane. It's actually been a quite life-changing concept for me, so I'm glad there's now a song that I can vibe to that reflects that. Most appropriate for the days that I need a reminder. I've always been open about my mental health because I found it to be very misunderstood, obviously. Like, no one could see me through a clear lens. And I've always been pretty naive like that. I thought it would help people show more compassion to myself and others if they understood. Originally, because I could see it was much more common than spoken about. But the older I got and the more healing I've done for myself, the more I see the other layer. A lot of mental health issues stem from trauma, preventable trauma, but also trauma that we maybe didn't know was trauma at the time. Sometimes I like to equate it to that, I don't know, it's like a picture or something, but it's I walked with my anger long enough to realize that her name was really grief, and I think that's a really good analogy for that. Where I get frustrated is the emphasis is always more on the reactions of traumatized people rather than an effort to gain understanding of what the world looks like from their perspective based on what they've been through and how that could maybe be improved. Emphasizing that a person is broken rather than looking at maybe there's a reason they became that way. Okay, that was okay. That's what practice is for. All right, let's go again. A good example of that would be Army veterans with PTSD. We that have never been through war and seen the atrocities wouldn't understand what they have, and they come back to a world that doesn't understand nor appreciates what they've been through, and we don't even have mental health support to try to bridge that gap. And instead of rewarding the people that really put their lives on the line to protect us, we're putting them more at risk. People shouldn't essentially be punished by the system that's meant to protect them because they survived. That's not right. Anybody who wouldn't be willing to put themselves in the same position or through the same conditions should show them anything less than respect, in my opinion. They lost like limbs and stuff so that you have the right to identify as a cat. So, you know. Oh, I lost my spot. Okay, restart. I understand why it would be a difficult adjustment for them because they should probably be teaching classes in body dysmorphia, if you asked me. Keeping these trucks on the train. I'm a little crazy, but the world's insane. If we were to spend more time looking at the roots, like the actual foundations of the traumas, and be able to prevent more future traumas. Okay, I'm gonna restart that because this lost my spot. Nope. Especially when it comes to a generation that claims trauma over like raised voices, conflicting beliefs, and aren't properly equipped to handle constructive criticism without it becoming a personal attack. They aren't being set up to thrive. Oh, no, messed it up. I blame this on participation trophies. Well, I mean, there are a lot of factors actually. I've said before, cancel culture, mob mentality, and the increasing difficulty of being able to tell real from fake are also very large factors with this. And it worsens with the amount of time spent scrolling. And it feeds you a version of yourself you think you want to see and perpetuates narratives about things that deviate from that. You're able to make more informed decisions the more details that you have from all perspectives. Oh, I messed it up. Given the current state of the world, I think it would be beneficial to promote accountability and not being a coward because you don't want to deal with your shit. And taking accountability doesn't mean forcing someone into cancellation. It means acknowledging your own role in the situation and working towards improvement for yourself and your relationships with others. But people need to be able to have the opportunity to improve, or they're not going to. I'll reiterate that I believe this is a major contributor to the rapid decline in mental stability for a lot of people these days. Not just youth, but just kind of everybody. There are a lot of cases where things are blown way out of proportion, and instead of trying to ruin someone's life over your minor inconvenience, why not consider you may not know everything? And we should show each other a little more grace, otherwise, it just perpetuates the cycle. Okay, so it's okay. I'm excited with the progress that I'm making on this one. I will say it is a little bit more difficult because you have to move more. Like the ones I've been playing, it's been a lot of the same chords. Progressions are less anticlimactic, I guess. But these you really have to move around a lot, and there's a lot of incorporating more keys more often. So this one's actually really fun to play. There are a couple parts where I'm still trying to figure out the timing on it, but overall it's coming along really well, and I'm really excited with how it's turned out. So I'm going to shut her down for tonight. Hi. So today we're going to do a couple more run-throughs of I'm a Little Crazy by Morgan Wallen. Still needs a little bit of practice. There are a couple interchanges that I'm still working on, so we're just going to give it a go and come along for the ride. Oh wait, I made extra keys today, so I just got to make sure I know which ones I'm playing. Hold on, I'll do it this way. A, D, A. I'm going to erase these because I did them earlier today and they don't apply. What was G will later. It's been feeling a little like North America needs to start considering bench strength. Half the population wouldn't pass military psych eval. For future, just in case. Have you seen the level of skill and competence we'd be up against? Get your shit together for your own good. I say that with love. You never know when you could end up a political prisoner of war. Oh, I missed that F sharp. I don't know why this version has an intro. There's no intro. It's like a cold start. In the age of making quick judgments on previews, snippets, and small portions of things, we really need to bring back asking for some fucking context. The bigger picture. Who has what to gain? And there are too many people who take advantage of not having context for confirmation bias purposes. For example, my openness about mental health and my journey seems to be acknowledged by many others only in the sense that I have them, but there is no ability to see the significant improvements I've made. Because I've been through worse and handled it better than I did with less and reacted more volatile. Okay, to be able to follow along with this a lot better on the screen, I also wrote it in my book, in my color coding, so that it's easy for me to recognize when I need to throw in the more random chords, because it is just a lot of D and A with a couple random F sharp and E chords in there. So this just helps me differentiate a little bit more within the song without having to rely on the screen scrolling. We're just going to see how it goes, and we're going to keep practicing, because that's what practicing is for. So come along for the ride. So I'm not using my pedal because I just forgot that I had it. So we're going to restart this, and I'm going to use my pedal that I got, which seems to be working okay. But what I've learned about using my pedal is that I'm using 3 fingers for a chord, and when I use the pedal, I seem to only be doing 2. So I'm still working on that. And I'm trying to get a good foot positioning from the pedal. I wonder if I can, like, switch feet. I guess you could play with whatever foot you want, but I don't know if using my right leg is the best. I don't know what the right position is. If there's any tips, let me know. All right, let's try this. Now I've set boundaries that I firmly stick to. Sometimes I even raise my voice. Like I've mentioned in a previous episode, the people who get upset about boundaries are the people who benefited in some way from you not having any. Now, my openness about mental health has become a weapon against me as an argument of my instability. One of the reasons I took a break was because everything I talked about in my episodes, I would then be tested in real life on. By people that I can guarantee you have not invested the same amount of time and effort to their personal growth and healing, let alone by themselves, that I have, but are so committed to trying to prove things that aren't true that the time that could be spent trying to improve how they feel about their own lives is being wasted. I'm not sure how it came to be that the happiness of so many other people is reliant on the success of trying to hurt me. All right, instrumental, let's go. Especially when on the outside they have so much more. To me, that's crazy and sad. A large reason I think it's happening is because although I'm big on accountability, I will no longer be accountable for others who are intent of putting their shit on me so they don't have to deal with it. Because I've always been viewed as this broken, sad girl. It made more sense to everyone for me to carry the weight and believe I'm still that same person. At least to everyone who can't recognize what actually clawing your way out of a hole and not wanting to stay stuck in a life of darkness looks like. Okay, I think I've figured out the pedal situation. So I think it's best. Most of the lines have only 2 notes to them. So and then it's like 2 beats before the next note. So on the second note, I'm holding the pedal and I'm really liking how that's sounding. So I'm going to try to refine that a little bit more. It's still sounding a little bit choppy, but it is coming along. I'm getting into a better rhythm with it. I'm getting into a better cadence with it. So I'm excited. Let's keep going. Run it back. Hold on, gotta throw the squishmallow first. Darkness isn't what we think it is. I learned that during the lockdown years. My whole life I thought I was the crazy one, and I started doing the work to recover. And when everyone else was having an isolation related meltdown,
Oh, I missed that.
I ended up happening to be the one equipped enough to help people better mentally navigate through their own isolation. But that's when I gained more confidence in myself. It was like I had been training, and that was my moment to showcase what I had learned. Like the pommel horse guy from the Olympics. And it inspired more learning too, because the long term effects have been severe and are quite apparent. Not enough people were equipped to heal properly because, in a lot of households, mental health wasn't a discussion prior to those years, aside from like Bell Let's Talk Day and stuff. But it's when I started to be able to conceptualize all of this a little bit more. On the flip side of that, there's another problem I was able to understand better, which is cyclical trauma and the failure of being able to recognize what healing really looks like. I say that because when I did start healing and incorporated more techniques to battle my mental health, that's when I started having the most problems with others around me. I started to feel, and often still feel, based on what continues to go on around me, that a lot of people in my life liked me sad. My sadness made them feel better. My happiness and progress, unaided by anybody but myself, seemed to bring out the worst in everybody around me. I cut a ton of people off who have since banded together to express concerns about my isolation. Fun fact, it's not isolation if you're happier by yourself than surrounding yourself with people who give the impression they enjoy cutting you down every chance they get. Every chance taken to try to destabilize, make you feel small, unworthy of anything other than misery or the life that they see for you. Absolutely nothing more. Between 2020 and 2022, you know what I noticed a lot of? A bunch of people that were forced to take a look at themselves and didn't like what they saw. Then turning and attacking people who were confident in themselves, making actual progress and living life authentically because they never had the courage to take any of those steps themselves previously. When I was isolated, I realized I'm my favorite company to keep. No one cheers me on or supports me or understands my vision or understands my capabilities the way I do with myself. The need for external validation I had started to diminish with the more confidence I gain in myself. Because even if no one would acknowledge the progress, I knew. And I knew that if any of the same people made half the effort to heal and could be honest with themselves, they would be able to acknowledge it too. One of the things that hurt me the most was that people saw me struggle and kicked me while I was down. When I did need help, it wasn't important enough. When I didn't need help, the conglomerate grew just to prove that someone who was at such a low point as I once was has no right to heal at all, let alone such a consistent and increasing speed. But there are few things that make me happier than watching someone who's had a hard road finally enjoy the fruits of their labor and be able to just relax for a bit. Honestly, this is why I cry during the Olympics. Athletes train years for this moment. Most only get one shot. Unlikely heroes are made, bonds are formed, and the world comes together for 2 weeks of unity through sport. Some of the most beautiful stories to me. The stories where the two high jumpers who are best friends choose to split the gold medal so they could share a piece of history together instead of going for the tiebreaker. The gymnasts from different sides of Korea taking a picture together. The marathon runners who stop to help struggling competitors to the finish line. You see some of the best brought out in people. So if someone has a dream that seems big, You don't have to understand it. You don't have to shit on it because of how it makes you feel about yourself. If they're willing to put themselves out there and to try to achieve what they want to achieve, who's to say they can't? Maybe they see a different way forward. Maybe they have different views, a different skill set. How come all of the reasons we use as excuses to write off other people before we get to know them aren't being used as problem solving tools? With great power comes great responsibility. You can choose to use the same things to find a better solution to a problem by reframing how we look at it. We've started to see differences as problems rather than potential solutions. So, of course, everyone's stressed all the time. It looks like there's nothing but problems. But that stems from this whole aversion to any sort of minorly uncomfortable interaction with someone who's not the exact same, and not feeling like you're able to have those conversations without it becoming an argument. Also, there's this thing called compromise, which seems to be a dying art. As I've said in a previous episode, we seem to have forgotten that the point of arguments should be to learn and grow, not argue about who's right and who's wrong. With a little more self-healing, we'll be a lot more able to have these constructive conversations in a rational way. Also, a reminder on understanding context, which plays a huge role when rebuilding foundations because you save yourself time and hassle with understanding where the flaws in the process were to begin with and what didn't work in the past. Another example of why context is important is clickbaiting. This is the biggest spread of misinformation, if you ask me. It's always over-sensationalized versions of stories that aren't really anything, or often not as close to near as dramatic as it sounds. I'd read these stories that are often dramatic and perpetuate really toxic narratives and behaviors over super trivial things. I'd finish the article and think that the whole thing was misinterpreted and what was actually happening wasn't as nefarious as you would be led to believe. In some cases, quite the opposite. It actually helped me understand my own situation a lot better too. Starts as a snowball, becomes an avalanche kind of thing. The more reach and accumulated power, especially within unhealed individuals, the less time you have to get out of the way, and the more severe the consequences are if you don't. There's no time for bitching, there's no time for panic attacks, there's no time for an OCD loop. You have to know who the fuck you are with absolute clarity and conviction, even if you don't feel like that in the moment. Take a breath, assess, make like a Luda, and move, bitch. Still missed a couple, still missing rhythm a little bit, and I'm still trying to figure out that instrumental, but we are making progress, so run it back. No, I'm restarting it. But I will take the moment to say that I'm really enjoying the pedal and I do think it makes a difference. Side note, I think cancel culture has done some real damage to conviction. It's hard to stand by what you say if you're saying it because it's trendy now, but can go out of style and ruin your life and people try to mob you for it tomorrow. This is why finding who you are and being your authentic self is absolutely critical to improving your mental health. Being your full authentic self will never go out of style because if you stand in your truth, it doesn't matter what anybody says. Take a look at your own skills and carve your own lane. Everyone has something valuable to bring to the table. The catch is you have to be willing to be honest about who you really are. And don't sell yourself short. There is a lot you are capable of that you probably thought you weren't. It doesn't matter if someone else doesn't think you can, if you think you can. Don't abuse your truth either or make a caricature out of your authenticity. It doesn't have to be something you blast on social media. It's about being the same person on and off camera. It's about being able to own your mistakes and doing better when you know better. But it's okay to have personal beliefs too, as long as you don't use those beliefs to discriminate against others whose beliefs are different and that you don't understand. Like, don't assume or perpetuate someone has schizophrenia when they don't, because they're spiritual and unnervingly perceptive. Trust me, the perception thing is unnerving to me too, mostly because I've learned how to understand and filter what lesson I could gain from every OCD loop I was in. Pivotal, honestly. Also, there is a difference between believing in chakra balancing, energetic healing, and nurturing a connection with your ancestors, the earth, and the universe, and seeing and talking to things that aren't there. Mostly, it's called you're being ignorant and contributing to the problem. On two fronts on that. Those who are quick to accuse and frame people of severe mental health issues, intentionally trying to make the problems worse or gaslighting them into thinking their mind is playing tricks on them, is one of the most brutal things you can do to someone, especially for a prolonged period of time. And especially when it's someone who's asking for guidance when trying to navigate the truth in a healthy and productive way. But you know what? Karma is only a bitch if you are. If the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, how would I be the crazy one if I've spent 3 to 6 years, depending on which part of the storyline we're talking about, that's doing things differently and continuously pivoting and making adjustments as I go and trying to correct my mistakes? But all I see is a lot of people calling me crazy, still doing the exact same things. It's okay to change, but the reality that no one tells you about is you have to be prepared to see who doesn't want you to, and be okay with not giving a fuck about it because everyone is entitled to their own opinions. But hey, like this song, I may be a little bit crazy, but the way I see it, the world's insane. Yay! Okay, I will accept that. There was only one extra note on the end of the intro. So I'm going to take that as a completed song. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, keep the peace and keep rocking on.